Hello, good morning, my dear friends. Uh, this is our fifth chapter, so it's two big chapters, but we completed. We are going to complete it. Don't worry. Okay. So today we are going to discuss here the government initiative for the food processing industry, and second is the mega food parks. What is the mega food parks? How it is came out. Oh, there is so many. Okay, urgency of the such a initiative of the region, some of the structural issues, and also with the remedy to measures. Okay. So these things we are going to discuss here. So my name is SK. Please subscribe our channel, like and also click the bell icon. If you click the bell icon, you got a notification when I upload any lecture in my channels. Okay. And the estimations of the investment of the 10,000 crores is required to achieve the vision. The title is the government initiative and food processing industry. The which of the 45% of the crores is expected to the come from the private sector, 45% of the come the financial institutions, and the 10,000 crores from the government. Okay, the government seek to create the appropriate of the environment for the entrepreneurship to set up the food processing industry through the following. First one is the fiscal initiative. The interventions such as the rationalization of the tax structure on the fresh food, as well as the process the foods and machinery used for the production of the processing food. The concentration of the promotion of the campaigning to create the market for the processing food by the providing the financial assistance to the industries, association, NGO, cooperative, private sector units, the state government organization for the undertaking of the generics of the market promotion. Harmonization of the simplification of the food laws by the appropriates and enactment to the over the all the provision of the related to the food process products, so that the existing of the systems of the multiply the law is the replace and all the coverings issue the concern standards such as the nutrients, the merits and the goods and future of the marketing equalization of the funds, etc. The effort to be expanded availability of the rights and kinds of the quality of the raw materials around the years by the increasing the production, improve the productivity, strengthen the debate database and the market intelligence system through be the studies and surveys or to be the conduct to be the various of the states enable to the planet to investments in appropriate of the sector matching with availability of the raw materials and the marketability of the processing and products, strengthen of the extension of the services and the farmers of the cooperative areas of the post harvesting management of the agro products to the encourage to the creation of the processing, the facility near to the farmers such as to the washing and the fumigations and the packaging, etc. The food to the increasing the setting up to the agro processing facility as the close to the area of the product as possible to be the avoiding the wastage and reduce the transportation cost. The promotion of the investment both foreign as well domestic. Simplification of the documentations and the producer under the taxation law, the avoiding to be the unnecessary harassment and the rising to the out of the mayor the technicalities. Establishes of the cold chains, low cost of the pre-coolings of the facilities near the farmers and cold storage and grading to be the sorting packing facilities to the reduce the wastage, improve the quality of the shelf life of the products. Application of the biotechnologies, the remote sensing of the technology, energy savings and technology for the environmental protection. The building of the strong infrastructural base for the production of value added the products with a special emphasizing of the food safety quality matching international standards. Development of the packaging technologies for the individual products, especially of the cut the fruits and vegetables, so increasing their the shelf lives and improve the consumer acceptance the both domestic and international market. The food sorry development of the food technology in the food processing packaging and also to the providing for the mechanism facility the quick transfer of the technologies the field through the network of the research and development institution having to the central institution at the national levels with satellites of the institution located to be the strategic various regions and covering up to whole the countries, and the making available requirements the testing facilities, and this could be done by the established the new institution or by the strengthening on existing one. Development of the area specific agro the food parks and detected to the processing of the predominant produce of the area. Development of the Achors industry centers and the linkage the Achor to the industry units having to be the networks of the small processing unit. Development of the agro-industrial multi-products unit capable to the processing cluster of the trans-seasonal produce. Establishment of the sustain the lasting of the linkage between the farmers and the processing of the based on the mutual trust understanding benefits by the utilization existing. The infrastructure for cooperative village panchayat such as the institution. The setting of the equalization of the funds to the ensure the sustainable supply of the raw materials at to the particular price levels at the same times to the plunge to the black saving to the occurring in the eventually the low price of to the making to the fund and self regenerative. Development of the marketing capability both regarding the infrastructure quality order to the promotion, the competitiveness capability into the face not only the WTO challenges but also be the undertaken the imports in a great way. Okay, the given the trend in Indian food and the beverage of the sectors of the including key industry of the consideration, it is the imperative for the Indian industry to the leverage the emerging the opportunity through be the following: exploitation of the huge untapped of the potential in the processed food, opportunity of the demonstrated by the contracts farming competitive supplies of the raw material disintermediations and direct access to the farmers availability of the few improve the seeds and farmer technology, value addition and unprocessed the categories of the food such as the dairy, fruit, vegetables, staples and edibles oil. Exploitation of the increasing the health, safety, awareness of the Indian consumers. This is the would be the pave a way for the value additing products of health platforms. Investment supply chains in order to be the improve the right tight supplies and minimize to be the wastage. Investment of the better packaging and cold chains infrastructure will aid to the processing the food beverage of the sectors as these would be the aid to the processing of the foods and vegetables. Exploration of the appropriate regional brandings and the strategy in order to be applied to the deep roots and tradition, value in custom and consumer. Exploitations of the increasing the consumerisms and fueled by the new jobs opportunity, large of the disposal of the incomes and emerging booms and modern to retail trades. Opportunity for the growth through with the igno inorganics of the roots both of the domestically and outbound. This would the provide the access to new products and categories, brands and markets and new technology. Indian food and beverage industry is the poised for the significant leaps forward, and this is the interesting the time and the continue to the access will be the success to the will be the dependence on the proper undertaking and the landscapes and the challenges to be the therein. Quickly the exploiting to emerging the opportunity, the skillful of the acquisitions and the strategic emergers and acquisitions and affections the same less the organization to the evolve into the truly the global player. The mega food park, the highest of the priority has to be the accorded by the government for the development of the infrastructure. The government has to already taken the several initiative on the this for this front of which is including developing the food parks and packaging centers and the modernization of the aptories and integrated the cold chains and facility and irradiations and facility value editing centers. Initiative to develop the food parks was taken over the primarily in order to be the assist and the small medium enterprises which are the able to the investment in capital intensive and activity. So far to be the 22 food parks have come into the operation which providing the common facilities such as to the cold storage, food testings and analyze labs. The primary objective, the MFCS is providing the adequate excellent infrastructure facility for the food processing along the value chain for the farmer to the market. It will include the creation of infrastructure near the farmers and transportation and logistics and centralized processing centers. The main feature is the scheme is the cluster of the basic approach. The scheme will be demanding the drivers of the pre-market would be the facility food processing units to the meet the environmental of the safety and the social standard, expecting to come out the result in increasing the realization for the farmer creation of the high quality of the rural processing infrastructure, reduce reduction in the wastage and the facility, the buildings of the producer and processing of the creation of the efficiency supply chains, along with the significant direct indirect employment generation. Such as the scheme aimed to facilitate the establishment of the strong food processing industry, the backed by the efficient supply chains, and which would be the include the correlation, the collection of the center and primary processing centers and food chain infrastructure. The food processing units under to be the scheme would be the allocated the center processing center, which is the requirement based on the common infrastructure which are be the required for processing and packaging, environmental protection of the systems, quality of the control labs and trading facility centers, etc. So urgency of the such initiative is the reason. First one, let's start as mentioned earlier. It is because of the growing of the market largely and because of the increasing the income of the peoples, rapid urbanization and changing to the demographic movements away from the joints of the families and to the nuclear families, increasing number of the working women, changing to pace of the lives as market the market to the preference for the food processing. Okay. These have a result in the shifting of the consumption and driven by in the processing food markets, which are the increasing and presently the account of the 32% of the total food markets, and it is to be the likely to the growing further only. The food processing industry is growing, has to be the becomes one of the largest of the industry in India, is ranked the fifth terms of the production. The consumption is the export and expected the growth. The shift of the consumption following the patterns of the observing development countries in that the evaluation of the global food demand. There is a shifting of the carbohydrates and the staples and animals to the source of sugars. Following the patterns of the futures, there will be the increasing demands and for the prepared the meals. The snacks, foods and the convenience of the foods further on the demanding would be the shift and the toward be the functional organic diet foods, and there are the post-liberalization trend that is have given to the imperative to the sector. Some of the structural issues, farmers have to the limited market for their agriculture produce and which are with the confined to be the local mandis and are the governed by the APMC, the under to be the respective the state government, and the farmer can only sell them and they cannot be the sell directly the private parties for the further the processing. As a result, they are the denied to the better pricing and also the providing prevent the food processing. They also have to limited the information about the market prevailing to the price and the operating the within their limited and packages based on their own wisdom. Supply chains, agriculture produce for farmer to be the utilize the consumer, lack of the transparency. So passing through with the numbers of the middlemen and rising the cost to be the commission charge and the resulting the high price without the value addition. Further to be the absence of the storage, warehouse facilities and efficient transportation result to be the wastage of the which are the only up to highest price. Okay, so what is the remedies? So remedial measures, first one is the government has taken the first steps and the following the FDIs and in the multi-brands of the retailing. So despite to be the opportunity by the various of the wastage of the groups, in it is a step to be the right direction, which means are the dealt with as the same lengths of the section of the foreign investment. This will be the addressing the most of the structural issues, especially the back of the activities, and this will lead to the organization, the developments of the supply chains, bringing to the transparency and the investment development, cold chains and the warehouse facilities. It will also be the lead the technology infusions and the boosted of the food processing industry. This will also be the ensure the large the participation of the private sectors in the entire chain. However, these steps will be required to the critical enables that amending the perspective of the APMC of Act of the perspective of the state government. This amendment will be the allow the farmers to the sell the directly to the interested in the food processing, and which allow the private sector to set up the bags of the yards and picking of the produce for the farmers, and it will also be the open the supply chain. It for the reason for the central government has permitted the FDI foreign direct investment subject to the consent of the state government. In the recent of the times there has been the biotechnology resolution, and now it is time to the food revolutions and around the food processing industry, and this is a reason why the industry is known. The sunrise of the industry is in view of the potentialities. India has the beside the meaty its own food needs and terms of the quality and diversification value adding products. Its products is also capable of the expanding the global market. The food market has never to be the downs in like to the under the markets, and it's driven the basically necessity, and the demanding will always be the